Welcome into Radio Row. Sterling Holmes with FanSided, my guy. Malcom here with unified coverage of the Super Bowl. Malcom, how are you?
I'm awesome. Sterling, how are you today?
Wonderful. I'm wonderful. This is just such an amazing experience. My first time covering a Super Bowl. Obviously, you have been here before. You're showing me the ropes here. We were here last night, and it was just such a magical experience getting to talk with all of the players. Man, you had a whole bunch of guys you talked to, from Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Bosa. Who was your favorite guy you talked to?
Favorite guy I talked to, Sterling, had to be Christian McCaffrey.
Favorite question?
Favorite question I asked him was about favorite question was a movie question. If the season was a movie, who would play you? That was my favorite question I asked last night.
What did he say?
He said Chris Pratt. Some said Denzel Washington. Others said Robert Redford. So it was a hit last night.
If you were getting cast in a movie, who would it be?
I'd play Morgan Freeman.
I love that. Love that. All right, again, we have a whole bunch coming your way all week long. Robbie Gould, former kicker of the 49ers.
And the Bears and the Giants.
Will be joining us at around 11 o'clock today. I'll be joined by Iain MacMillan for your normal Stacking the Box updates as well. But again, just some quick updates here. We did get to see the actual grass. It is covered right now. It was covered last night as the rain started to come down. They had the tarp over that. So what you saw on the field last night, what we were on, that was the turf field. So there's been a lot of talk on the X as far as what does the turf look like? What does the grass look like?
Yeah.
They say it looks bad. Well, that's the turf. They ain't playing on that.
No, that's good.
So what we saw on the outside, it did look pretty good. I will also point out, I know it's early in the week. It was Monday last night. A little closer from San Fran than it is from Kansas City to Las Vegas, but what would you say, 80% Niners fans?
Yeah, 8% contender seed Niners fans last night.
I mean, it was just a wild experience when you saw anytime George Kittle talked, anytime Brock Purdy or Kyle Shanahan talked, it was just the loudest round of applause for those guys. And then you heard Patrick Mahomes try and talk.
Yeah.
And I say try and talk because he was getting booed out. He was getting drowned out by the Niners fans.
Yeah, he was getting drowned out by the Niners fans last night, and it was just opening night was just phenomenal last night. Like we said, it's just the first. It was just one night. It was just the first. It was the first day last night. So more to come this week, and looking forward to doing all the exciting interviews lined up throughout the week, and looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, as far as when Mahomes was getting booed, I'm sitting here laughing going, do Niners fans know what they're doing? Do Niners fans understand that Patrick likes getting booed? It's petty Pat. I know you're a Niners guy over here. Wouldn't you be worried? You saw the look in his eyes. That was a look of, I'm about to drop a bomb on the Niners fan base right here.
He's gonna drop, he's gonna drop some on the Niners faithful, and it's gonna be really interesting to see what game plan the Niners devise this week to try to slow down Patrick Mahomes, and I'm interested in seeing what happens with that.
Yeah, as far as Kadarius Toney came out, there was some more information. He finally spoke about the whole ordeal in regards to his Instagram rant. Looks like he goes, that was about the Giants. Said it's getting taken out of context, and I'm sitting here laughing going, dog, that was on your own IG account. You did this. I'm a little confused by it, but he was speaking for the first time, obviously, since this entire ordeal. Any thoughts on Kadarius Toney here?
I mean, Kadarius Toney knows what he's saying, but honestly, I mean, we'll see what happens on Sunday. It's gonna come, like I said, it's gonna come down to which team has the ball last, and which quarterback, will drive their team, with a game-winning drive. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking.
Before we bring on Ian, I want to give a huge shout-out to FanDuel. If you haven't downloaded the FanDuel app yet, you'll definitely want to take advantage of this offer before the big game. New users who sign up through our link must deposit $10 and place a first wager of $5 on any live bet. That first bet wins, you will receive $200 in bonus bets straight to your account. This offer is only available if you sign up through our link. bit.ly/arrow200. You can find that link in the description below our stream, as well as scan the QR code on screen to start signing up. Again, the link is bit.ly/arrow200. The offer will end shortly after the game, so make sure you don't miss out. Offers only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full link and the terms of the offer. All right, we're gonna get our headsets on here now. You ready now?
Yeah.
Get the headset on.
All right.
All right. Iain MacBets. Iain, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, my friends. How are you two doing on this fine Tuesday of Super Bowl week?
Wonderful.
Wonderful, Ian.
I will say it's a little weird. I can't see your lovely mug anymore. I can't see that smirk or the Falcons helmet behind your dome. I'm a little upset by this.
Yeah, that's a shame. The viewers, at least, are able to see my wonderful face and my wonderful background with the Falcons helmet. But I guess you can't, Sterling. But that's okay. You know what I look like by this point.
Yeah, I will say, Ian, last night it was really interesting. Again, a lot of Niners fans here. It was at least 75% Niners, 80% Niners fans. I would expect that to probably even out a little bit more. But it did feel like a road environment. 23,000 plus fans were packed into Allegiant last night. As far as them booing Patrick Mahomes, again, I know it's kind of a joke, petty pat, this, that, and the other, but at the same point, he does thrive on that underdog mentality. Do you think that was maybe a little bit of a bad look from the Niners fans?
No, bad look. No, come on, they're playing against them in the Super Bowl.
Hey,
not only are they playing against them in the Super Bowl.
A bad decision, Ian.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a bad decision, but you got to boom because don't forget, guys, that this is not only the team they're playing against in the Super Bowl. They're also the team that stole their last Super Bowl appearance from them, or at least stole the Lombardi Trophy out of their hands at a fourth quarter lead against the Chiefs just a few years ago in the Super Bowl. So no, I mean, it's not great to give the Chiefs the underdog mentality. I know Mahomes spoke this week about what it's like, kind of. Being the evil guy in the NFL now, but that's what happens. You can't avoid that if you win the Super Bowl almost every single year. I have become a Chiefs hater because they win the Super Bowl almost every single year. It's just part of the gig. There's no way to avoid it. There's no way you can be the good guy that wins the Super Bowl every single year. We just want to see some new faces. It's a little selfish to win the Super Bowl every single year. So yeah, I mean, was it the best thing for the 49ers to do? Probably not, but I support it. I applaud their booing.
I had a chance to talk to Nick Bosa yesterday, and last time around, obviously the Chiefs were trying to scheme him out of the game. And when I was talking to him last night, I go, you probably understand the same thing's going to happen again. What do you think the 49ers will try to do to counteract the Chiefs' game plan here? Again, they will either run at him, they will run away from him. They'll do a lot of jet sweeps, which is a little interesting. They've not done that a lot this season, a lot of end-arounds. That was a big part of what the Chiefs did before with McCole Hardman. They've not really used him in that role since he's come back to Kansas City. I would kind of expect that to be an uptick of a role there. But who do you think on the 49ers really needs to step up on the defensive line for them to have a good chance in this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Nick Bosa, but one player on the 49ers defense that I think needs to step up and will step up is Fred Warner. I think we could see him flying all around the field, both stopping the pass and the run a little bit. But that kind of brings up my point about this Chiefs offense. I actually wouldn't be surprised if we see the Chiefs run the ball more than what some people might expect. Pacheco, 24 carries in 2 of their 3 playoff games. And I know kind of the narrative around the Chiefs defense is that the way to beat them is to run the football, but I actually think the weakness of the 49ers defense is their run defense as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs run the ball more than people expect. And that means that not only necessarily the pass rushers for the 49ers defense has to step up, specifically Nick Bosa, who Nick Bosa's had a relatively down year compared to previous years. 18 sacks last season, only 10.5 sacks this season. So yes, pass rushers are going to play a big role, but I also think linebackers, and I'm looking at Fred Warner specifically, needs to have a big game to not only stop this seemingly unstoppable Chiefs passing offense, but to help slow down the run too. If they can do that, they're going to be in this game in the second half.
So, Ian, would you say there's any other would you say, is there any other Niner defender would you say that would need to step up besides Fred Warner in your mind?
Yeah, Dre Greenlaw is another one that I think needs to step up. He needs to have a big game. Really, everyone, you have to play perfect to beat this Chiefs offense. We have seen teams not play perfect games, and when you don't play a perfect game and you give the Chiefs a chance to win the game, they will do that more often than not. We saw it the Ravens last week. They are 2 weeks ago now. They certainly did not play a perfect game, and the Chiefs were able to get the win. The Bills certainly didn't play a perfect game. They are able to get the win. So we can't have anyone on the 49ers defense play poorly. But in terms of the players specifically on their defense that I'm looking to step up, Fred Warner's one, and Dre Greenlaw is the other. This linebacking core, I actually think, is going to play even a bigger role than their pass rushers necessarily will.
And then on the Chiefs side of things, I think the Chiefs linebackers, in my mind, this is going to be a big matchup. Obviously, not just George Kittle, but how will they use Kyle Juszczyk?
Yep.
You're going to have to be very aggressive getting downhill. Obviously, Nick Bolton, I think what he does best is his IQ. Very intelligent, right? But obviously, you have the addition of Drew Tranquill, very, very versatile. They've been using him, Spagnuolo, in all different roles. Leo Chenal starting to get more involved. You know, talking with him last night, he was enjoying at times being used as a edge rusher, right? Get a little more quickness on the defensive line there on the outside. And then obviously you have Willie Gay Jr. as well. He should be back with that neck injury. As far as the biggest matchup for me, it's going to be Chiefs linebackers against San Fran, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. What do they do? How do they try and stop Christian McCaffrey, not just on the ground, but through the air? Is that a matchup you're looking at as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think if the 49ers do win the Super Bowl, I think the MVP of the game is going to be Christian McCaffrey. A running back hasn't won MVP, Super Bowl MVP since I believe it was 98. Terrell Davis with the Broncos, the last time Super Bowl MVP was a running back. I think that could change this weekend because, like everyone says, I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anyone now. The way to beat the Chiefs defense, their one weakness on the entire team might be their run defense, and now they have to go up against one of the most effective rushing attacks in the NFL, which is obviously led by Christian McCaffrey. And as you mentioned, they have more than one way to get the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hand. They can hand it off to him. They can utilize him in the passing game, both short dump offs and send him down the field a little bit. So yeah, I think that's going to be huge. And George Kittle is another one, as you mentioned, Sterling. I think that's he's going to play a huge role in this game. We have seen some games this season that Kittle has been kind of quiet, at least on the stat sheet. But don't underestimate his ability to block as well. So he's going to play a big role, not only in catching the football, but blocking for Christian McCaffrey in this 49ers run game as well. So, yeah, I think you nailed it. Even more so than Brock Purdy, I think two of the most important players this game for the 49ers offense is McCaffrey and Kittle.
Do you see Brandon Ayuk having a big game for the Niners, Ian, and Deebo Samuel as well?
Yeah, I think Brandon Ayuk could. I think Brandon Ayuk might be the most underrated receiver in the entire NFL. If you look at like PFF rankings, like he was top 3, top 5 all season. And if there is a way that the 49ers can attack this Chiefs secondary, which is a top 3, top 2 secondary in the NFL, Ayuk could certainly play a role. Now, where I think Deebo is going to play important, not only in the passing game, but I could see them, if they decide to, really pound the rock, they can get the ball in Deebo's hands on jet sweeps and more outside running plays as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if Deebo Samuel runs the ball a handful of times in this game as well. And I wouldn't be shocked if Deebo Samuel throws a pass in this game. We've seen Super Bowls in the past. The offensive playbook, they leave nothing behind. We see trick plays called at a higher rate in the Super Bowl than any other game in the NFL season. Deebo already has a pass attempt once this season. I think he had 3 pass attempts either last year or the year before. So I'm calling my shot with that a little bit as well. If Deebo Samuel throws a pass in this game, you heard it here first. It's gonna happen.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll see if I can, since we're in Vegas, I'll try and find if I can place a bet on that, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what the odds would be, but I'll see what I can do. One thing I will point out, the Chiefs have done a great job. While you did mention, if they do have a weakness defensively, it is, again, stopping strong rushing attacks. But what have they done in the playoffs? They stopped the Dolphins completely. The Dolphins were this electric, high-flying run team, which, again, Shanahan tree, very Shanahan running style. Again, McCaffrey's obviously better than Devon Achane, not disagreeing with you there, but my point remains, similar styles. They completely locked him up. The Ravens, while yes, they only ran with the running backs 6 times, they were bottled on the ground. I think the Chiefs are a little bit of a team where they can take away your strength, right? They can take away what you do best. Now, a lot of times they might say, hey, we will be content with you running the ball on the ground, but we're going to stop big plays through the air. But I do think there might be something to the fact that I think if they want to take away, not again completely take away McCaffrey, but if they can slow him down, I think the Chiefs are a team capable of doing this.
Yeah, and I would think that would be their game plan defensively as well. Take away McCaffrey and make the 49ers try to win on the arm of Mr. Irrelevant, only his second year in the NFL, Brock Purdy. That would be smart for the Chiefs to do defensively, and they are a very smart, well-coached team, so I expect them to do exactly that. And to your point, Sterling, as much as I point out the run defense has been weak at times this season, we did see against the Bills in the second round of the playoffs, the Bills actually had a lot of success in the first half running the football, but the Chiefs made some adjustments, and in the second half, they could not get much going on the ground game. I know James Cook had like -6 yards of rushing in the fourth quarter specifically.
Hey, why do you know that one?
Yeah, I might know that one because I might have lost a bet because he lost 6 yards in the fourth quarter. So, that one sticks out in my mind. So, yes, as much as I am harping over and over that the weakness of the Chiefs is the run defense, that's not to say that it's going to be done easily for them. They're obviously going to make some adjustments. They know the 49ers are going to try to run the football. Their game plan probably is and probably should be to stop McCaffrey and make them throw the ball. So, probably the 49ers' path to victory is running the football, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Chiefs come out, completely load the box, stacking the box, if they will, and shut down McCaffrey in this 49ers running game. They certainly have the ability to do it as long as their game plan is right.
Question right here on the chat says, is Joe Thuney playing? From the sources I have, no, he will not be. Again, barring some miracle. Again, if anyone could do it, Joe Thuney could. That dude is a beast. Was playing through a broken hand at one point last year. That guy is a robot. But from what I have heard, Joe Thuney will not be playing, which means it will be Nick Allegretti yet again. Now, let's talk about the Chiefs' offensive line, Ian. Obviously, they've been heavily penalized. Nick Bosa was pretty quick to bring that up early on in his pressers last week. How do you think the Chiefs' offensive line will handle what is a very deep 49ers defensive line? Obviously, Chase Young, the addition there. I do think you can run against him. I think Chase Young, he's trying to get those sack numbers. Sometimes he can be a little bit light in regards to stopping the run, gets a little aggressive there. What do you think the Chiefs' game plan will be on the offensive line here?
Yeah, I think they can run the football early and often in this game. I think the 49ers defense, as much as it pains me to say this because I'm on the 49ers and I'll be rooting for the 49ers, but I don't think the 49ers defense, especially their pass rush, is as good as kind of the public opinion is of them. They've had great defenses and great pass rushes. Actually, the last time they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl a few years ago, I actually thought their defense was a lot better that year than it is this year. You look at their sack percentage, getting a sack in only 6.7% of their opponent quarterback dropbacks. That's 20th in the NFL this season. This pass rush isn't exactly what it used to be. So the Chiefs' offensive line, I think, in my opinion, even with Joe Thuney out, is still one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I don't know if the 49ers will try to draw up some blitzes from their linebackers as well, or if they're just going to, deal with the fact that they're not going to be able to get a ton of pressure on Patrick Mahomes and just try to drop guys back and hope they can force some incompletion. So, I think the Chiefs' offensive line might be one of the most important units in this entire game because I think they're going to have a lot of success no matter what they do, if they decide to throw the ball or run the ball.
All right, Ian, this is my first time in Vegas. What do I need to do? I asked Jacoby Myers and Aiden O'Connell this yesterday, and they both said I need to go to the Sphere, and I'm sitting here going, I don't have as much money. Like, what am I can't afford to go see you two. Like, well, come on, guys, help me out here. So, Ian, what do I need to do here? What should I stay away from? I've not gotten a lot of help on Twitter. People on Twitter are ruthless.
I'm not going to be able to help you either, Sterling, because even though I am a sports betting guy, I work in the industry and have for a number of years now. Believe it or not, I've never been to Vegas.
I'm shocked by that, honestly. Ian, you strike me as a guy who'll be sitting at the blackjack table until 4 a.m. and someone has to drag you away.
Which is why it might be a good thing that I've never been to Vegas. I don't know if I would survive. I don't know if I'd be able to leave Vegas. So, I don't know, Sterling, is there some cheap golf around there? You can use one of those golf balls that I bought you. I don't know, did you bring your clubs to Vegas?
Didn't bring the clubs. I thought about it, and then I saw the schedule. Strong schedule, so we will not be hitting the sticks out here. I also looked up, Hunter decided to send me the pricing of one of the local golf courses here, and no, Ian, unless you're trying to fund this, no. But I will take you up on your steak dinner here in Vegas. I think that's probably a smart move for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I still owe you the steak dinner. Maybe you can find a little mini putt. Go play around a putt-putt. Might be a little bit cheaper and a little bit quicker as well. A round of golf's not exactly a quick outing. So with you being that busy, maybe you just go play some putt-putt.
A couple of comments right here on the chat says, go card collecting. Is that still a thing there? I know exactly what you're talking about. I will not be going card collecting. As a man with a fiance, I will not be collecting those cards. If you've been to Vegas and on the Strip, you know. Trevor says, we need a live feed of Sterling playing Texas Hold'em. I would love that. The only issue is you cannot have your phone out, and I learned that the hard way. I wasn't trying to take video or anything. I'm not like a card counter. Ian, you know me. I'm horrible at math. But I'm sitting here like, let me text the guys, see where they're at, and they're like, what are you doing? You can't have your phone out. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so dumb. I promise you, I'm not trying to take advantage of you.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Malcolm, what's your game?
My game is Russian roulette.
What? wait, what?
Russian roulette.
I think just roulette.
Just roulette.
I think just roulette. That was a shock. That was Malcolm. I would have learned something very interesting about you.
Yeah.
I would say I'm not going to go play games with you, Malcolm.
If not roulette, I would play blackjack.
Okay, blackjack. There we go.
Malcolm, when you play roulette, do you bet red or black? Which color do you go with?
Black.
Nice.
It's bold. I did last night. Lost. Didn't work for me.
I like to bet on green 0, and I very rarely win.
Looks like I need to look for some penny slots. Yeah, okay. I'm a frugal man. I do need to look for the penny slots. Top Golf. I would say that, Brandon, appreciate that, but I do Top Golf in KC all the time. There's one by my house. Love Top Golf. Malcolm, you are popping off on the comments right now for that original thought right there.
Yeah.
So way to get the people going.
Awesome.
All right, going back to the Niners-Chiefs Super Bowl matchup here. Special teams have been a interesting advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs all season long. You know, Harrison Butker has been one of, if not the best kickers in the NFL. Obviously, against the Bills, they were having their struggles. You know, Justin Tucker, as great as he's been, had a little bit of a down year. How do you think special teams makes an impact in this game? Obviously, Jake Moody just missed a kick in the postseason. We'll be talking with Robbie Gould in about 15 or so minutes, get his thoughts as well. But how do you think special teams plays an impact in this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to play a big impact, especially because one other thing that we haven't talked about the Chiefs in terms of an area that's been a bit weak for them now. They have been strong in this area in the postseason for the most part, but they've struggled a bit in the red zone offensively. I think only 19th in red zone touchdown scoring percentage. So Harrison Butker could have a big game, especially if they can't convert those red zone trips to touchdowns. That is actually one of the bets I have for this week is Butker over 7.5 kicking points. 2 field goals, 2 extra points, and that's a winner. 3 field goals, that's a winner. So yes, that is going to play a big role for the Chiefs if they can't find the end zone when they get down to the 49ers red zone. And it's going to be huge for the 49ers as well, because I don't know if they necessarily trust their kicker, which might force them to go for it on 4th down if they're in kind of that weird range of the field where it's either like a long 50-plus yard field goal or they have to, try to go for it on 4th and 2. I think they're going to decide and opt to go for it on 4th and short. So much like the NFC Championship game between the 49ers and the Lions, converting 4th down opportunities when teams decide to go for it on both sides of the ball is going to be big, I think, in this Super Bowl. So
really quickly, when you said
yep.
go for it on 4th and 2, do you think the Chiefs, you mean, are going to be more aggressive than they have been in the regular season, or you mean go for it as far as go out with Butker there?
I think the 49ers are going to be aggressive because they don't necessarily trust their kicker. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs are more aggressive in that area as well. I know the question was mainly about special teams, and Butker, I think, could have a huge game. I see Sean Browning's comment in the chat, Butker MVP. I love it.
What the odds are there? What are the odds of Butker MVP?
Big. 100 to 1?
Oh, man.
Did Adam Vinatieri ever get it? Like, I'm trying to think if a kicker's ever won Super Bowl MVP. I would assume no. Like, that seems like an asinine question to even ask, but then I'm thinking of, like, would Vinatieri have done it at some point in the snow?
I doubt a kicker's won MVP in a Super Bowl there, Sterling. I doubt it.
I have just looked it up. A kicker has not won MVP.
So they're due is what you're saying. They're due.
Yes, but let me ask this question for you guys, since we're on the topic of Super Bowl MVP, if I may. A couple linebackers have won it twice in the past, I think 13 Super Bowls. If the two of you could pick a defensive player that could win Super Bowl MVP, what player would you name?
You go first, Malcolm.
For me, it would have to be Fred Warner for the Niners.
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think Fred Warner for the Niners is probably the safer bet. Trying to think. I love Travarius Ward, but, you know, I don't think he's going to be I'm glad he got All-Pro, but I don't think it'd be a cornerback. I'd probably go, L'Jarius Sneed, cornerback for the Chiefs. Like I don't think a quarterback for the Niners, but I do think a quarterback for the Chiefs could be the guy. L'Jarius Sneed, whether he is traveling with Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, getting sent on a blitz, Spagnuolo is going to use him as a chess piece. If he ended up with a sack, 10 tackles, and an interception, that has to get it done. And if you can pick one guy to do it on the Chiefs, it probably would be him.
Chris Jones?
Chris Jones, the other guy, I don't think it'd be a linebacker. It's funny. Like, I think if it's on the Niners, I think you're looking at a linebacker getting the nod. I think if you're looking at Kansas City, you're probably looking at a secondary member getting the nod. Chris Jones, I think, has a chance. I talked to Aaron Banks yesterday, obviously offensive guard for the 49ers, and what it's going to be like going up against him. I also brought up the fact that Spagnuolo brings a lot of exotic blitzes, and what's that do for an offensive lineman? Just a lot of added pressure on him. I don't know how many one-on-ones Chris Jones is going to get. The same reason why I don't think Nick Bosa is going to get Super Bowl MVP. The same reason I don't think Chris Jones is going to win Super Bowl MVP. They're going to try and take him out of the game. They will not allow one-on-one opportunities. So for me, again, I think I'm going L'Jarius.
All right, I like it. Sean also asked in the chat, Kelsey MVP as a tight end never won MVP. A tight end has never won Super Bowl MVP. So if it's ever going to happen, could be this game as well. Two pretty good candidates in George Kittle and Travis Kelce.
Yeah, absolutely, Ian.
What bets do you have this week? You're the betting guy. Iain MacBets. You literally have it in your handle, even though you've never been to Vegas. So I'm kind of questioning your pedigree here. And even though I had to get some golf balls from you, I still trust you. I still trust you here, Ian. What bets do you got rocking?
I got a ton. There's a couple. One I already mentioned, Harrison Butker over 7.5 kicking points. Another one that's kind of related to something we were talking about. Nick Bosa. Actually, am betting on him to not record a sack. Like I mentioned earlier, a little bit of a down year for Nick Bosa this season. Only 10.5 sacks in 17 regular season games. Chiefs have one of the best offensive lines in football. Mahomes only gets taken down 1.5 times per game. So I got Nick Bosa to not record a sack. And also I got Brock Purdy over his rushing yards. Set at 12.5. I think we could see Brock Purdy take off with his legs a little bit. He did it against the Lions, 48 rushing yards against them, 14 rushing yards against the Packers in the divisional round. And with how good the Chiefs secondary is, I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Purdy has a few times where he drops back to throw and sees not a single person open and is forced to take off with his legs. So I'm surprised that it's set at such a low number, especially with how often he ran against the Lions. So 12.5 for Brock Purdy rushing yards. I like the over on that one as well. I don't know what you guys
rip
think
that
about
one, dude. Ian, I am a huge fan of that one. Actually, as a Chiefs guy here, obviously, I'm a little bit nervous in regards to Brock Purdy and his legs. I think he's a little bit more athletic than people give him credit for, a little bit more mobile.
Yeah.
I think that might be one of the X factors in this game. Obviously, I think the Chiefs can do a good job, but they're not going to put a spy on him. You know, I've seen a couple people say, well, do you put a spy on Brock Purdy? No, you're not, man. He's not Lamar or Josh Allen. He's not going to take off that often. But I do think when a play breaks down, he is more capable than a lot of people are giving credit to. As far as his ability to make big plays here, Ian, I want to ask you this one because Lamar Jackson made a couple of big plays in that game, and it still wasn't enough. The only way the Bills really scored in that game was Josh Allen at times making only plays that him, Mahomes and the elite quarterbacks in the NFL can make. If Brock Purdy can't make 2 or 3 elite quarterback plays, I don't see them having a chance. Do you think Brock Purdy has that in him to make consistently big elite plays like these top echelon guys?
I think he has a couple in him. If he needs to do it all throughout the game, then the 49ers are going to be in a lot of trouble. But we saw, even though he got off to bad first halves in both the game against the Packers and against the Lions, he came alive in the second half in those games and did make some key big throws when he had to. Now,
I mean, that helmet was only Brock Purdy could use that helmet.
Yeah.
No, you can't. A Chiefs fan can't say that. The amount of plays that have gone the Chiefs' way over these past few years, yeah, okay. It was a lucky bounce off the helmet, but he still made some other big throws in both of those games, late in the game, too, when the pressure was on. So what I would say is, yes, I think he can make a couple of those throws, but he needs to specifically avoid the terrible starts that he's played now 2 weeks in a row. He's been bad in the first half. And if he gets off to a bad start in the first half against the Chiefs, whether that's an interception or just some missed wide open throws, he's not going to be able to make a second half comeback like he did against the Packers and Lions. If he starts off slow again this Sunday, game over. Chiefs are back-to-back champs.
All right, before I let you go here, because we will be bringing on Robbie Gould in just a few moments. Score prediction. Do you have one yet? I know it's Tuesday, but this is when we always make our score predictions. Who do you have winning, and what is it?
My score prediction is 49ers 24, Chiefs 20.
Why are you a hater? Like, why? I asked Will Compton this last night. I said, why are you a Chiefs hater? And he goes, because it's so dang easy to rile you guys up. And I thought that was pretty funny. So is this your actual thought? Like, are you putting money on this? Or is this one where you go, you know what, I've been a heel all year long on Stacking the Box. I got to stick with it.
There is a little bit of that, but no, I honestly do think the 49ers are the better team. The Chiefs are the hotter team. They play better football heading into the Super Bowl in the playoffs. But if we look at a full season of sample size, the 49ers were the best team in the NFL. And if they weren't the best team in the NFL in the regular season, they were number 2 to the Ravens. I don't think many people, yourself included, Sterling, would have said in week 14 that the Chiefs were the better team than the 49ers. So I'm doing my very best to not have a short memory, to think about the bigger sample size of an entire season of football. And I think when you do that, I think the 49ers have been the better team. Now, there's the immeasurables like, Patrick Mahomes and the pressure of the situation, the experience the Chiefs have. But overall, the 49ers were the better team from start to finish this season, and that's what I'm betting on in this week.
Ian, appreciate the time, man. Good stuff as always. A little abbreviated for you today. I'll give you your time back, okay?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Ian, appreciate it, man. We'll be in touch. All right.
Care,
Malcom. What do you think an X factor is in this game? Who do you think an X factor is? Obviously, Fred Warner defensively, but not just these guys, not just the big names.
Right.
Maybe a name that's not being talked about enough. Who's going to be an X factor here?
Key factor for me, Sterling, would be. Key factor for me, Sterling, is going to be Donovan Smith, the offensive lineman for Kansas City, because he's the most penalized.
What was that one more time? I apologize. Donovan Smith for the Chiefs, yeah. Now, obviously, Nick Bosa brought that up a little bit earlier on in the week, the penalties that he brings. But he's been good in the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
Like, the Chiefs have this ability. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because the refs let you play more in the playoffs, which, again, I think is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, I know some fans, 31 other fan bases outside of Kansas City are sitting here going refs, but it's both sides. I think if you've done some studies, it seemingly seems like penalties go down in the playoffs. They want the players to decide the game.
Yeah.
So then what typically happens? Those holds that were called in the regular season
are not being called as much in the postseason.
Correct. And so I'm sitting here going, well, yeah, Donovan Smith might be a very heavily penalized player. He hasn't been in the playoffs.
Right.
So will he be in the Super Bowl? And I don't think so. Am I nervous at least a little bit? You bet your ass I am.
Yeah.
But part of me sitting here going, all right, if they're not going to call it in the first few, divisional round, the wild card round, the AFC Championship game, why would they all of a sudden call it in the Super Bowl? I don't see it happening. The same thing happened last year. Orlando Brown Jr., Andrew Wiley, they struggled during the regular season. What happened come postseason time?
They didn't call it.
They were studs.
Right.
Now, I think a lot of that's a shout-out to Andy Heck and what he brings, right? Andy Heck, the offensive line coach for Kansas City, is perpetually underrated, right? I mean, he gets the best out of his guys. Nick Allegretti, obviously, all of a sudden what happened when Joe Tuna goes down, he gets thrust into the starting role.
Right.
He does a very solid job.
Right.
Trey Smith, obviously the health issues. We talked to him yesterday and got a lot of great content from him that'll be coming out throughout this week. But when you talking to him, obviously he was more talented than a sixth rounder, but it wasn't like he was getting a first round draft pick, right? That wasn't going to happen. But what has he become? He's become a really good right guard. I think Andy Heck has done a phenomenal job here, and I think he does a great job in this Super Bowl.
Amazing there, Sterling. And I'm going to ask you the same question you asked me. It's that, not the big names. Who is your X factor?
Good question. Part of me is thinking a Chiefs linebacker because I think that the Chiefs linebacker core has to be incredible in this game. Like, I think they're going to have their plates full.
Right.
But I might go a little outside here and go George Karlaftis. Obviously, with no Charles Omenihu, with him being done for the year, which is absolutely horrible for him, man. I mean,
that's tough.
Going against your former team, the Super Bowl, and then that happens the week before. I mean, that's brutal for him. Brutal loss. He had become one of the second, if not third best pass rushers on Kansas City. So Karlaftis has a bigger, more on his plate, right? So Karlaftis is going to have to play 80% of snaps at least. His snap count is going to go higher. I know he has a great motor. He's been a guy who's played a lot of snaps, but you're going to see that increase even more. And you're going to have the production to back it up.
Right.
If the Niners try and take Chris Jones away, right, you had two other options, him and Omenihu, Karlaftis and Omenihu.
Yep.
One of those guys could win.
Yep.
But now no Omenihu. I like Mike Dana. A lot. He ain't Charles Omenihu. He ain't going to win one-on-one as often.
Right.
So Karlaftis, to me, is going to be the guy that steps up big in this one. All right, some more comments right here. Typical line of scrimmage penalties go down in the playoffs. Look for game-changing DPI.
Depends on past parents.
Trevor says Ian's problem with betting during the playoffs is exemplified by this Super Bowl. Ian's really good. I'm not going to lie. I like to give him a hard time. Ian's actually crushed me in all of my actual season-long bets. Like the one me and him did together, I won.
Yeah.
But if he bet on every single game.
Right.
He did way better than me.
Wow.
I'm not a very good bettor. I'm only good when I go up against him.
What's the most you bet this whole entire season?
Oh, $5. Dude, I'm soft. I'm frugal. I just need a little bit of money for the bumps. Just a little bit of money for the bumps.
Right.
If you put $50 on a game, I'm sorry. You have way too much stones for me. I mean, I cannot do that. Couple more comments right here. I don't think they have backed down from calling roughing the passer. Chiefs did get several of those calls in their favor in the AFC Championship game. That's from Tilly. Yeah, man. It's a good call. I will say those were obvious ones. Like, I don't think those were necessarily questionable ones. Mahomes, I believe, only had one roughing the passer call during the regular season. So the whole, you can't touch him, that narrative is a little bit, it's false. Quite frankly, it's false. But when you, Patrick, I will get to your comment in a second. But I do think what you saw in that game from Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
Clear helmet to helmet. Like that was not debatable. That was a legitimate
it was clear cut
penalty.
It was clear cut.
So Yeah, that's getting called. When you saw Jones, the defensive tackle, go hands to the face, just completely WWE clothesline a guy.
Yeah.
That's obvious. That's going to get called.
Right. The refs are not going to miss that 99.9% of the time. They're gonna call that every single time.
So I'm sitting back going, yeah, I get what you're saying, that the Chiefs got a couple of roughing the passer calls, but at the same time, they were legitimate. It'd be ridiculous if they did not call those. Those weren't 50-50. Those were 100-0.
Right. You're always going to have those gray hair type of, type of no calls, non-calls, that sort of thing. So if you're going to call it one way, you got to call it both ways as well.
I see one here is Rubinson getting punched is not roughing the passer. Okay, but the point remains, it's still a penalty.
Right.
It's going to get called.
Right.
Patrick says, I spend all my money on his turtlenecks. A decent amount. Yeah, a decent amount on turtlenecks. I don't know where Patrick's at. He's around here somewhere. I got to find him. I can't believe he called me out like that.
Right.
I mean, this isn't even a turtleneck, Patrick. This is a straight-up collared shirt.
Yeah, it's not a turtleneck. I don't even. That's not a turtleneck.
I mean, Patrick, come on. Calling me out. We're getting joined now by Robbie Gould. Robbie, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
How
What's
are you,
happening?
Robbie?
Everything going all right?
Awesome.
Awesome. What
All
are we
right.
talking about today?
Hockey.
Oh, nice.
Little
A
hockey.
little Blackhawks hockey,
Yeah,
I hope.
little hockey, college basketball maybe.
College
Okay.
basketball,
Yeah.
costumes, maybe.
First and foremost, I know you're here with DiGiorno. That's a great polo you got.
You like
rocking.
that?
I think, yeah, it's
I love this. Like I love their pizza.
Yeah.
You know,
favorite pizza from DiGiorno.
cheese. I'm a plain Jane guy.
Plain Jane.
Yeah.
You're Chicago, obviously. You played there with the Bears. Deep dish. Is
Oh.
that in your?
Yeah, I love deep dish. You know, I'm a New York style pizza guy. I like to be able to fold it like a taco. I grew up on the East Coast, so I get the best of both worlds.
Malcom, you got the next one here.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Robbie, do you have a memorable kick in your career?
You know, it's funny. That's such a loaded question. I get that a lot, and it's weird because I can't just pick one. If I had to pick, I think one of my favorite kicks is the Green Bay playoff kick from 2 years ago in the divisional round. 0-degree weather, 45 yards. That one was good, significant for me because I know what that meant to Chicago Bear fans, but I also know what it meant to the Bay Area and the San Francisco 49er fans to get to the NFC Championship.
What I find interesting is all this talk about the GOAT, right? Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Is there a kicker GOAT?
Vinatieri's up there. I think Justin Tucker can go in that category too. Vinatieri has some of the most clutch kicks in playoff history that it's hard to replicate.
Yeah.
Truly. But Justin Tucker is probably the best kicker to ever play the game.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of intangibles of power and accuracy, which usually you're a kicker. I'm not a power guy. I was more of an accuracy guy. But he's
more
got
an Anderson style.
Yeah, right.
More an Anderson style. Yeah.
But he had both, which is unique to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you touched on adjustments, in various weather conditions. What kind of adjustments do you make when you're dealing with those kind of weather conditions when it's like snowing, icy cold, wind chills in your face, the wind's going at you? Share a little bit about that.
Well, I think playing in Chicago, you get used to it because Lovey always believed that you would practice in the elements that you're going to play in. So if it was 10 degrees outside, we're going outside to practice because that we were going to play in on Sunday. So, the prep for that always started during the week, and then I think as the more you got into kicking in that, it just became like, all right, we got to go do it again. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, it's going to be 0 degrees. So there was a lot to that.
Why do teams give up on kickers so quickly? I always find this very interesting because I get it's a results-oriented business. I understand that. But when you see guys like Young Wei Koo, right? He struggled his first stop, then what happened now? Now he's one of the better kickers in the entire NFL. Why do teams rush this process so often?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with they're younger, right?
Yeah.
A lot of teams want to get young at that position. They don't want to pay the guy an older salary to be able to get maybe 2 players to fill out their roster. So, I think the big part about what you're seeing or what you're going through is they'll pull the plug quicker because one kick that you miss might cost you a playoff opportunity or a playoff game for that matter.
Speaking of the Niners, What do the Niners do so well to be near the top every single year, Robbie? Mention that a little bit.
Yeah, I think, it's taken them a long time to build that, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I think you find the right guys, you draft the right capital, you get the right guys in free agency, you get the consistency of most of your coaches being there all the time, so you can actually build a program or a franchise, because a lot of your guys will know the offense. It's not changing out every single year. So I think, you're reaping the benefits of having one of the most brilliant minds of Kyle Shanahan in the game. You're having guys come in that know what the defense can do, and filling a guy in there that has the same philosophies. And I think you're seeing them be able to have stability and consistency, and that resonates to the players, which resonates to them being able to be in these positions.
I know you said you're a cheese guy, but what all do you have rocking with DiGiorno right now?
It's pretty unique. For the second straight year, they're doing the DiGiorno Doinks, which I know is
come on.
It's a little bit of a
Chicago
kicker.
fans can't
Yeah,
get.
they can't enjoy that word. So everyone can go and register at DiGiornoDoinks.com, and if a ball during the big game hits the upright or the crossbar, there will be a chance for people to win free pizza. Which is pretty cool.
Oh,
although
man.
Here's the thing, as
You
a
can't
kicker,
what do you do now?
I'm okay with the doink as long as it goes in. That's all.
As far as the kicking matchup here, obviously special teams has been an advantage of Kansas City for a long time. Harrison Butker, practice squad of Carolina. Thank you, Carolina.
Yeah.
Chiefs fans are thrilled right now. But he had a down year last year. Obviously, extra points were a little bit of a struggle for him, but now he seems healthy. He seems right. What do you see from Harrison Butker in his, quite frankly, incredible season?
Yeah, well, here's what I tell you. First, he has Dave Tobe, who's one of the best special teams coordinators that the game has ever seen. Second, he was injured, trying to play through injury, and it's hard to find a rhythm when that happens. Also, listen, they're scoring 100 touchdowns a year. He's gonna miss.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he's kicking 20 and he missed 3 of them. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on with this guy? So, I think if you look at how talented he has become at a very difficult place to kick, like Arrowhead Stadium, what he's been able to accomplish, multiple Pro Bowl considerations, that's not an easy place to do it in. So, I have a lot of respect for what he's been able to accomplish as an athlete. And, I think the unique part is everyone's like, oh, he missed. Well, yeah, if you get 150 tries a year with Patrick Mahomes, I'll still take his
miss one or two.
Yeah, I'll still take that percentage.
You may miss two. You may miss two. One or two. And speaking of the Bears, you played for Chicago. What do the Bears need to do to mimic the Niners' recent success in your mind?
I think a lot of it is, if you see what they've been doing, there's a lot of turnover. Every 2 or 3 years, it's a new head coach, which brings new people, which brings a new general manager, which brings in a new philosophy. And, I think now you're starting to see them grow as a team. Eberflus is going to be in his 3rd year with Ryan Poles. You're seeing, and really San Francisco, if you look at the San Francisco model, we made the Super Bowl in year 3. So it took 3 years to build that team. And I think the same thing's going on in Chicago. So as long as they can find consistency with the coach and their staff, if they can find consistency in how their processes work and build off of it, they're going to have more wins. 2 years ago, they were basically getting rid of guys to have money in free agency, and I don't want to say tanking.
Yeah.
But putting themselves in a position to be able to get some really talented players higher in the draft or in free agency.
How hard is it for a kicker? Let's just say the Detroit Lions, who are very aggressive, right? Let's just say you probably think it's a 42-yarder, it's 4th and 4. You're going out there. The next thing you know, offense is getting sent back out. How hard is that mentally for a kicker? Do you take it personally at all if that were to happen? Or
I don't really take it personally.
I know it's not you, but obviously
but in general, there's times where you go for it on 4th down. Listen, there's so many analytics, there's so many pieces to this puzzle that the game where, maybe a coach liked a 4th down play at a certain distance and he knew it at that green zone he was going to go for it. So to me, I think it's a product of what's the score of the game, where are you at, what's happening. To me, Dan Campbell should have kicked both of those field goals.
Sure.
Even if you miss them, there's a little bit of a different vibe when a kicker misses it versus the offense not making it, right?
Sure.
So I think, had they kicked one of the two, Detroit probably is sitting here enjoying Super Bowl week instead of doing what I'm doing with you guys and enjoying it from the couch.
I got one additional question for you, Robbie, and it would be, what advice would you give Jake Moody after his postseason misses of late?
Yeah, I think just go out and enjoy the moment. Be in the now. Don't worry about what happened in the past because you can't fix it. And like I said, he's been in big-time moments before with Michigan in the college football semifinals. So I know he'll be able to bounce back, and I think he'll be able to have a really nice game on Sunday.
In regards to dome versus obviously outside, who does that give the advantage to? Again, Harrison Butker, I think, is one of the best kickers in football. Jake Moody's been a really good kicker, but a couple of obviously hiccups here and there.
Well, I think, listen, look at Kansas City plays in the Raiders Stadium every year.
Yeah.
So there's a familiarity that he'll have and the Chiefs will have going into, and frankly, probably having a lot of success in that stadium, right? So there's a little bit of a confidence you can build from that. If you look at Jake Moody had a really good senior all-star game here.
Yeah.
I think last probably January. And so I think they played here as well early in the season and had some success. So there's a comfort level for both of those guys.
In regards to grass versus turf, obviously a big deal for a lot of football players. You don't hear it as much with kickers, I feel like. Where do you land on the grass versus turf?
It doesn't matter to me. I think it just matters where you're at. Like if you are in Chicago, you want turf. It just makes it easier on the elements. I think one of the things to watch out for on Sunday is going to be, this field is going to be very similar to what the Arizona Super Bowl was because it grows in a desert. It's the same kind of concept of rolling out on trays. So, I think the defensive line is going to play a big part in who's going to have or become the Super Bowl champ. And you saw last year 2 defensive lines who were really good get slowed down by the turf. To me, I think that the biggest game changers that could happen on Sunday is going to be predicated on two defensive lines.
Robbie, really appreciate it. Before I let you go, okay, one last time, DiGiorno, tell us about the doinks.
Go to DiGiornoDoinks.com, and let's hope they hit the upright and go in and win some free pizza.
Robbie Gould, really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
appreciate it.
Time, Robbie.
Appreciate it.
Solid.
We'll be joined in just a few moments by Gracie Hunt. She'll be up next, the daughter of Clark Hunt, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Man, Robbie's awesome.
He was phenomenal to talk to today.
I found it interesting when he said it doesn't matter as much in regards to whether it's grass versus turf.
Right.
Because I've talked to a few kickers, and they mostly prefer grass. I did notice something a little interesting in regards to Harrison Butker earlier this year.
Yeah.
On the miss in New England, that's that synthetic. It's a little bit of a combo, right? And so when you have that combo, he missed there, and that made me a little bit nervous. But again, here in Las Vegas, while it is the grass he got injured on, in Arizona, it's at least grass, and he's been nails on grass.
I loved what he said, as well, starting that it doesn't really matter, the kicking conditions where he kicks them. He wants to just, knock it through the upright, and just do it when it matters most.
Yeah. Again, we'll be joined by Gracie Hunt in just a moment. I do find it just interesting as far as the kicking matchup in this game because you have seen Harrison Butker be nails for so long, and Jake Moody, again, as you talked to him about, went through his struggles. Gracie Hunt, daughter of Clark Hunt right now, the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us now. Gracie, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's so good to be here with you guys. It's an exciting time, and the energy here is just incredible.
Well, now it's just like you come every single year because the Chiefs are here every single year.
Well, we're just so grateful. We know how hard it is to get here, and it's such a special opportunity. And I saw you had some awesome interviews last night at opening night. I was there as well, and sad I didn't get to say hello, but I just saw the clip you posted with Justin Reed, and it was awesome.
Awesome, Gracie. Talk about talk about this whole entire week. What has this week been for you so far? I know it's only Tuesday, but I know as the week progresses, what are you looking forward to the most?
I got in yesterday and went straight from the tarmac to opening night, so I was off and running pretty quickly, and then this morning we're obviously here at Radio Row for a few hours, and then come Thursday is when all of the real crazy action starts. We've got NFL honors, the after parties, commissioner's party, and the whole rest of it, and then Super Bowl Sunday, so it's going to be a whirlwind, but we're just so excited for it. What's your favorite part of the week?
Just being part of Media Row and just getting to do all the interviews, and looking forward to to do NFL honors on Thursday night. Get to walk direct cover, which is good, which is amazing, which I've never done before. I've never been to Vegas, and I'm just taking all the moments in, Gracie, as we speak. Just enjoying every single minute of it.
I love that, and I've really enjoyed seeing Vegas and all of its Super Bowl swag decked out with all of the decorations. That's always one of my favorite parts of the Super Bowl.
I know for you and your dad, how fun is it seeing the Chiefs logo on the Raiders Stadium?
I think that we all really, really love seeing it up there. I got to say hello to Mr. Davis last night, and he was so kind and gracious. He's done an absolutely incredible job hosting, and we're just grateful to use this beautiful stadium for this game coming.
Talk about Chiefs Kingdom. What does that mean for you, being in Kansas City, and talk about the atmosphere at Arrowhead? Share what that atmosphere is like.
Chiefs Kingdom is family to me. I was born into Chiefs Kingdom and didn't have a choice, but have always bled red, and am just so grateful for the incredible people that I've been able to meet and who I now consider to be family because of the sports industry. And I just can't express how much we don't take for granted the opportunity to be here, and the atmosphere at Arrowhead is incredible, and you'll have to come check it out sometime if you've not been. It's pretty special. It's
never been.
A lot of incredible barbecue, so much fun in this
I've
huge
never
tailgate.
been to Arrowhead.
All right, well, we're going to have to change that for sure. But this year, it was a different playoff run than what we've had because we were the underdog playing away at really difficult stadiums and, had to overcome beating the Bills, had to overcome beating the Ravens, and crowds that were really dominant by those opposing teams. And so to do that on the road and then to get to be here is just so special.
4 Super Bowls in 5 years, just the appearances at least right here. This is an owner and an owner's family's dream right here. Did you ever expect this? I mean, even this year, halfway through the season, we're sitting here going, well, I guess you can't be there every single year. Did you ever lose the faith?
I would say that I always bet on red, and
is that true here too?
I've never bet against Coach Reed and Patrick Mahomes.
Talk about the relationship with Coach Reed and Coach Spags. What has that relationship been for the Chiefs?
They're incredible at what they do, some of the best in the industry, and we're just so grateful to have them leading our team.
In regards to Brett Veach, Brett Veach has created one of the best teams top down, because everyone always talks about Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones, but I think the biggest storyline is honestly the depth of Kansas City. The free agent signings of Mike Edwards, Drew Tranquill, Charles Omenihu, which again, it's horrible for him that he's out this game, but again, then you have guys like Mike Dana who has the ability to step up in this one. What have you seen from Brett Veach building this team?
All props and credit to Brett Veach. He is incredible at what he does, and I'm really inspired and amazed by my dad and how he has set the tone and led the Chiefs organization and the people that he has hired and the culture he's created. And I think that just speaks for itself in all departments, from the football side to the business side with Mark Donovan. They are just really incredible at what they do.
Yeah. I'm not just trying to hype you up because you're here, but it truthfully feels like the situation where all these players who are former Chiefs players, they come back and stay in Kansas City. They always talk about how well they were treated by the Chiefs organization. What does that mean for you and the family? Because again, it'll be guys who have played 2 years for the Chiefs. They may have played 12 years somewhere else, but they come back to Kansas City because of Chiefs Kingdom, the fans, and the organization. What does that mean for you guys?
Kansas City has the kindest, most wonderful people, I would argue, in all of the country. And I have family there. And I would just say that Chiefs Kingdom and the Chiefs organization really goes beyond the football field. And we really just become family. We always say football is family. It's one of our slogans. And I think that's why players come back and establish roots and want to be involved long beyond their playing years.
what is the when you say Chiefs family, what does that truly mean for you, as an owner of the team, and Chiefs Kingdom, like, just share a little bit about that.
I would just say I'm arguably Chiefs Kingdom's #1 fan. I'm just very blessed to get to grow up watching my dad lead and run the organization, and how he's created a championship culture, and how he leads with integrity. So all credit goes to him, and I'm just so grateful that this has been a part of my experience growing up.
Obviously, we're here unified with FanSided and Special Olympics here. What does Special Olympics mean to you?
It means so much. Special Olympics is definitely a part of my identity and why I am the way I am, because when I was in high school, I became involved as a partner player on a unified Special Olympics soccer team. And that experience just changed my life, because I didn't have experience working on a unified team or with people who had disabilities before. And it just showed me that the only disability in life is a bad attitude. And you can achieve anything you set your mind to if you work like you're in charge and pray like God's in charge.
Gracie Hunt, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Gracie, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Thanks.
That was Gracie Hunt, daughter of Clark Hunt, right here. Again, we are here at Radio Row for the Super Bowl. Malcom, that was a lot of fun, man.
It was a lot of fun, Sterling. Gracie Hunt was awesome to talk to as always, and she's a joy to have a conversation with.
I mean, again, when you see it, what this family has done, and again, I think it's really truthful. I wasn't trying to just because she's here. When you see all of these Chiefs players, former Chiefs players, come back to Kansas City, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of them. They always talk about how well they were treated by the organization. Right. And I talked to a lot of guys who played for, I don't want to throw any other teams under the bus here.
Right.
Like, they were nice, they were fine, but you felt like it was a business.
Right.
And again, there is something about Kansas City, not just the fans, where the fans make them feel welcome long after their playing careers are done. But it comes from the top down, from the ownerships, from the Hunts. The fact that they make them feel welcome, and quite frankly, Chiefs Ambassadors is a big deal here in Kansas City. I mean, Chiefs Ambassadors brings back all these former players. They give back to charity. I just have all the respect for a family that makes these players feel welcome.
Honestly, Sterling, I have the utmost respect, for the Chiefs organization. I loved how she talked about, how the fact that they're a family, and how they have a great relationship with Special Olympics, which, which is top notch, and things of that nature. So that's what really, that's what really stood out for me.
Yeah. Again, Malcom, I'm Sterling. We're here with FanSided and Special Olympics unified coverage of the Super Bowl right here live on Radio Row. We'll be here all week. We're going to take a little bit of a break. Come back at some other point. A lot more interviews coming your way.
Yes.
So until then, we are out.
We are out.